Greetings, community, and welcome to another edition of Your District and You. I'm your host and your superintendent, Dr. Tahira Dupree Chase. As you are aware, the school district will present a bond to our community on March 19th, 2019. We've been talking to the community, and we will continue to speak to the community about this transformative project. Many of you have asked some really important questions as it relates to our capital project. I brought some great experts with me to help answer some of your questions. So I'd like to introduce my expert panel, starting with Kevin Austin from Savin Engineers. Kevin is a facility planner who's also our project manager. We have with us Daryl Mastracey. Daryl Mastracey is an engineer from CS Arch. He is a managing principal. What does that mean, by the way?
I oversee the engineering group at CS Arch, so all of the systems that go into buildings, that's what I oversee and design.
Okay. And we also have with us Tina Masiti. Tina Masiti is the executive principal, and she's also an architect. What does it mean to be the executive principal? And what is an architect, by the way?
I work very integrally with our firm to develop educational projects like your own. So I work alongside our engineers, and I also oversee our architecture department as a whole. We work with districts to really develop a project from start to completion, looking at the vision of the district and how to improve their facilities and put them into a position to grow and to support their students.
Okay. And Tina Masiti is also from CS Arch. We also have some district expertise with us. On my left is Mary O'Neill, and Mary O'Neill is our Assistant Superintendent for Business. And what exactly do you do as the Assistant Superintendent for Business?
My office handles all of the non-instructional aspects of the district, including the budget, facilities, transportation.
Okay, thank you. Also with us is our Director for Facilities, Mr. Michael Falcone. And what does that mean?
I oversee all the buildings and grounds, custodial staff, maintenance staff, as well as outside contractors to, of course, run the buildings, maintain them, and repairs.
Okay, fantastic. Last but definitely not least is Todd Minch. Todd Minch is our Director for STEAM. Now, Todd, STEAM is a very fancy terminology or an acronym that's used very often. It was STEM, and then has transformed to STEAM, and sometimes I hear STREAM. So what exactly do you do as the Director of STEAM?
Well, I have the great job of trying to integrate all of those letters in that acronym, the science and the technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, in singular experiences for our students. We cannot teach them discretely anymore. We need to combine that through collaboration, through design, through many other processes, and actually going from design to build to a completed project. So that's the bulk of what we get done here.
Okay. So community, what we've done is we've taken your questions, your frequently asked questions that you've submitted to us, and we're going to take this time to answer many of your questions. I'll start with one of the most frequently asked questions. Why not just renovate all of our existing buildings? Well, from what I'm made to understand, for the past 40 years, this community has talked about consolidating all schools onto one campus. We talked about developing a unified campus. Currently, we have 5 existing school buildings, and we wish to consolidate 5 into 3. Fewer transitions, a more focus on 21st century learning, a more focus on building community spaces within each and every one of our schools. We also believe that this transformative capital plan will improve student outcomes, will have academic, will have social, as well as economic benefits. So Tina, why just take what we already have and just simply renovate it?
So while renovating your existing buildings is an option that we've looked at, it would never provide the types of instructional spaces and educational spaces that would truly support your students now, support how students are actually learning in today's world. So creating large enough spaces that allow students to actively learn, allow students to learn how in some cases, not all students learn. So, not traditional lecture, space to move, space to design, space to create. And one big thing is just the actual size of the spaces that are not currently up to standard.
Bailey and Highview are between 50 and 100 years old. And it's not just the buildings themselves, it's the site and the maintenance that goes into the sites, the buildings, the operating costs. There were different construction standards back then, but also the systems that are in buildings of this age and this vintage are older, and they take more energy to operate. They take more expenses to maintain. And by removing that from the district's annual operating and maintenance budget, and by consolidating on the campus, it's really a long-term investment that saves the district a lot of money in the long term, because you're not having to maintain those buildings or those sites. You can equate it to actually a car. If you have an older car, it gets to a point where you have to put money into it every year to maintain it. And then there comes a time where you realize that the money you have to put in to maintain it is actually more than the car is worth.
So Bailey in particular, the classroom sizes are actually much smaller than what the state education department requires for a general classroom size. The standards that were established by the state education department are actually standards from decades ago. And they were really focused on traditional learning. So though the classrooms are small now, they're even smaller for how students are actually learning now.
So can you confirm whether or not those standards are from the 1940s?
I believe they're from the 1940s or the 1950s, Kevin. Do you know?
The addition at Bailey was completed in 1938, and so the size of the classrooms that were used was 660 square feet. So technically nothing has changed within the construction of those buildings, even though it was proposed back in the 70s to make some adjustments within the school in order to increase this square footage within each classroom. That never took place, so that now once SED in 2004 rolled out to the entire state new guidelines with regard to minimum requirements, then the district is even further away from those standards, let alone what the future holds pertaining to best practices, how to provide adequate instruction space for students at that time.
Okay.
So the state requires classrooms, general classroom sizes to be 770 square feet. The classrooms at Bailey are far below that. We actually are designing classroom spaces, general classroom spaces at 840 square feet. And that's because we've learned that students really require that much space now to learn more actively and more independently.
Which is a great segue into my next question. So the next frequently asked question that came from the community is, well, what's wrong with the classrooms we currently have? And I think we sort of alluded to that. And how will this impact academics? So aside from Bailey, and I'm looking at Todd, mentioned particular, aside from Bailey not meeting standards in terms of classroom sizes, what's wrong with the current classrooms we have in other buildings, such as Highview School?
Those classrooms, while they're great for the, 20th century lecture model, stationary student, non-group work. Group work was a unique experience once a year if you needed it. Now it's part and parcel of everyday learning. Many more transitions, many more opportunities for students to work in small groups. There's much more resources that are needed for students. And then we're just trying to also incorporate the design and build aspects in every single content area. So while I'm in charge of science and math, if you will, I've seen 3D printers used in the social studies classrooms. And if we have to make that a unique, get out of our seats, walk down to the end of the hallway, make 3 lefts and a right to get to one room which has the 3D printer, you're losing tons of instructional time. Time is a resource that we can't increase. So we need to make sure that everything is self-contained within inside of those rooms, self-containing these, the abundance of materials that we need nowadays for the correct and 21st century learning experiences is going to take a larger size classroom. I mean, it's just really quick and simple if you look at it that way.
So speaking of classrooms, another community member did ask the question about the benefits of the pre-K program going into Leah Jackson School. Can you just speak a little bit about the current pre-K classroom space that we have at the main building per se,
Sure.
or even at the mansion?
You know, we brought in STEAM activities into those classrooms at the mansion or at the main building, pre-CK, and there's just not enough room. I don't even know how else to articulate it. You know, these programs that we're doing, you know, an egg drop and trying to design a structure in which we can put an egg in and drop it from a height. I mean, we can't do that if we're on top of each other. If we're looking to bring in some coding activities, and at that developmental level, we're bringing in, you know, a student dressed in a robot suit, and we're asking the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds to, you know, code their movement. We can't code a movement if we can't move. It's really about space and lack thereof. Students need elbow room, and they tell them all the time, and they tell me all the time. We need a little bit of room so that we can start to use our other senses to learn,
Yeah.
and to touch, and to feel, and to create.
Sure. And another great benefit of having the students, the early childhood students at Lee F. Jackson, is that we can create a true early childhood environment at Lee F. Jackson from pre-K to 2. So there's a seamless continuum of the learning for children at that school, at that grade level, too. So why, another question that came from the community is, why is this project necessary now for Greenburgh? Why can't we wait 5 years from now? We have time. 10 years, we have time. Why now? Mike, I'm looking at you.
Well, time goes on, prices go up. That's number one. When we talked about classroom sizes, you have to say what's inside the classrooms. Okay, let's take for instance the electrical outlets. Bailey School, we probably have maybe 2 or 3 electrical outlets in the whole room. What do we have nowadays? We have computers. Okay, we have steam, machinery. We have also the cameras, projectors. Okay. It cannot support the material or the equipment that we have. So the electrical is outdated. It's probably about 80 years old. Let's just say Bailey School. 80 years old. We still have the old electrical panels that are in that building. Okay, the electrical service is undersized. You can even look at the plumbing. Plumbing is 80 years old, and as everyone knows, we had a pipe broke. But the piping needs to be upgraded. The windows, fire exits. It's as a whole, and when we say it's just repair, you have to do really a gut renovation to do it right. If you just want to say, okay, we're going to put a bond out there for just repairs, we're going to be doing just the roofs. We're going to do some electrical upgrades. It's really not going to do the classroom spaces. When you say, well, if we don't gather a new building, you're going to end up doing a bond for repairs. You know, so they both work together.
Can you just talk a little bit about some of the current situations in terms of areas of disrepair? Maybe there were some facility incidents that we may have had recently in a school district.
Okay, so as I said, Bailey School had a pipe break. Okay, that we had to repair, and of course we had to do asbestos removal. But that's not one. That's only one incident that we had. I did a PowerPoint presentation, and just to show everyone, a lot of the ventilation is cut off at Bailey School. That's not up to code. You're supposed to have 10% fresh air that comes into the building. There's a lot of stuff in the years that no preventive maintenance has been done to it. And if something broke, I guess the district didn't have the finance to repair it the proper way. We also have outdated equipment. But we had that. We had a pipe break over at ECP. We also had, we just ended up replacing 2 boilers here at the high school. They were beyond their life expectancy here. We replaced at Highview School. We did replace a hot water heater that was beyond its lifespan. We have 2 boilers over there. I believe they're 50 years old. That needs to be replaced. I have fire alarm systems that are beyond their lifespan. Roofs that are original here at the high school, middle school. when you look at it as a whole, if you don't keep up with a car or a house, it just is going to wear and tear on it, and you don't upgrade it. This is where we're at.
Okay. So another question that came from the community. Do population projections indicate a need for this project? We'll go to our project manager.
Currently, the projections were provided by Western Suffolk BOCES from a 2017 demographic study. Based on a review of all the data looking back 10 years, going forward, the required 5 years, 7 years, and 10 years, the current enrollment as of 2017 in their projections or in their actual enrollment report was 1,831 students. Looking forward, they are seeing an increase, not a decrease within the district, so that an additional 240 students are expected to be housed within Greenburgh in the next 10 years. Now, to put that in perspective, that means there's going to be 271 total students that they project, and that could go up, it could go down a little bit. However, to reflect upon what 240 students would require, that's equivalent to having 10 new classrooms with 24 students, basically packing the entire room, all 10 of them, which could be a 2-story, 10-classroom building, just in order to house or provide for the students that are projected. So renovations, while certainly beneficial to address all the systems that have not been replaced based on their useful life, the issue becomes how do you actually provide necessary space for the students that are soon to come into the district.
So there is a projection of increased enrollment.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, and I appreciate your answer. So I also understand too that there are several other districts that have presented bonds and were successful in passing those bonds in neighboring school districts. How much have other nearby districts invested in capital projects? And that question was frequently asked by the community as well.
Yes. Well, as you mentioned, in Greenburgh, there was certainly an effort over years to be able to provide a bond or a capital project in order to address the needs. However, like all other districts, it can be a challenge because the administration, the board, the community, everyone must be on the same page, and there are different options that are available. So while Greenburgh to date has not been able to be successful in order to put forth a bond, though it's needed in order to address the current needs on the building condition survey, other districts have actually been able to accomplish that. Some specific ones in Mount Vernon, they've had some 4 bonds over the last 20 years, equating almost up to $300 million. So in this instance, those bonds could be through a capital project bond, it could be through annual project work or capital funds set aside each year, as well as energy performance contracts. All of that effort is in order to maintain or to enhance the buildings and to address the needs. Other districts, such as Pelham, they've had $114 million in bonds in the last 20 years. And what that means is it's not just comparing the amount of a bond from one district to the other, it's how much does that represent for each building. So in this instance, if you have a particular building of the same age, say Bailey, 1929, regardless of what district that building is in, it's going to require the same amount of money in order to bring it up to code. So in this instance, some districts are spending upwards of $10 to $20 million over that period in order to correct the deficiencies in these aging buildings. So where there is an old building, if you do not put in the substantial amount of funds or capital resources to either renovate or create new additions or to create new buildings, then you're going to be in a situation similar to Greenburgh. And in comparison, while districts such as New Rochelle, $110 million, Scarsdale, $83 million, Blindbrook, $85 million, in 20 years, Greenburgh has spent $4 million in total in the repair of the buildings through capital projects. So that's the reason why the current bond is so critical.
Okay. And this is also, that answers the previous question of why do we need to do this now? Look at the neighboring school districts, and I understand there are several other school districts that will be presenting a bond in the next couple of weeks as well. Okay. So many people have asked the question about taxes and the impact taxes will have. one community member, or several community members have asked, how will the capital project impact my taxes? And of course, I'm going to defer that question to my business official.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. When developing the estimate, we worked with our financial advisors and worked with the architects and engineers. We came up with a debt service schedule for all the funding. There's actually 3 debt schedules out there based on the debt schedules provided. And again, this is the principal and interest payments, and it's over an average of 30 years. It costs the taxpayer $14 a month per $100,000 assessment. Now, we also have the calculator online, so people can go to our website and they can put in their own individual assessment to determine their individual impact.
I have another follow-up question. So if the bond passes on March 19th, does that mean I'm going to see the impact right away?
No, you will not see the impact right away. And I'll get Kevin's help a little bit. You will not see a tax impact, or the taxes go up until after construction has started. So that's at least 2 years away, a year and a half to 2 years away before we would even break ground, because you have to design the project, submit it to state ed, go out to bid. So it's a few years down the road.
Okay. Another FAQ. Do you want to add to
Oh.
that?
Sure.
Okay.
Another factor that comes into play as to why the average is actually going to be low in the early years, and it's going to rise in the middle, and then it's going to drop off toward the end. So the State Education Department has assigned different lengths of time in which those renovations, additions, or new buildings will age. And so in this case, a renovation will require 15 years on the payback, 20 years on an addition, and 30 years for a new building. So therefore, as each of those payments are actually paid off, then it will go up initially, and then it will go down.
Okay, thank you. And another frequently asked question. Will taxpayers be responsible for additional costs beyond the proposed $114.6 million project?
No, they won't. We actually, the price that we gave before, that includes the debt service, the principal, the interest payment, that includes everything within the building.
So not a dime beyond?
No, we can't. Once the voters approve it, we can't spend more than that.
Okay. And another question that often comes up at our meeting, when would construction begin once the bond is approved?
So when the bond's approved, we'll actually start design the very next day. And what we're going to try to do is fast track the new field and track and get that up through State Education Department so we can start construction almost immediately on the field and track and not have to displace the sports teams. Once we do that, we're going to design the renovations and additions to Jackson, the new 3-8 school, submit those to the State Education Department, that's the authority who actually reviews and approves our drawings. We'll start construction in early spring 2021. We anticipate about a 2-year construction period for the Jackson Elementary additions and renovations, and approximately a 3-year time frame for construction in the new 3-8 building, because new construction takes a little longer to construct, and so the entire project will be done and all schools will be occupied by 2023.
Okay. All right. So while we're on the topic of construction, another question that comes up often is, how much construction traffic and noise will there be? I'm going to pitch that one over to our project manager.
Yes. So we are anticipating that all efforts are going to be made to ensure that the least amount of disruption to the neighborhood, to the community, to the students, to the teachers, that construction is as focused and concentrated as possible. Part of that is actually having an early start at 7 a.m. Where construction workers will arrive so that there's no disruption with regard to them impacting the students arriving, bus drop-offs, as well as toward the end of the day as well. So they'll be here a little bit later. The focus will also be on when they are doing the major construction. There will be a measure of noise during that time. So in this case, pouring the foundations and some of the excavating work with rock removal, as well as we consider putting the still up. Those time periods will be somewhat, will have increased noise. However, the requirement from SED is that overall that there's not going to be more than 60 decibels in the area where the students are populated, meaning they're not going to be affected by the noise. In this case, we think about what is 60 decibels as an example.
Right.
In this case, it can be a conversation. It can be a air conditioning running. So those measurements are used in order to ensure that the community at large, as well as the student and teacher population, they are not affected or to a minimal degree, but especially during those times as they are doing the interior renovations and completing the site work.
So the windows won't rattle. The windows won't shake. My car windows won't pop or anything to that effect, right? I won't hear loud booms. Is that what you're telling me?
That is exactly what I'm telling you.
Okay, so I won't feel the vibration in my stomach.
If you feel that something's gone wrong.
Yes. I mean, it's important to know you can't disrupt the daily teaching and learning of the students that are already on the campus
During construction.
During construction.
So let's talk about the trees, because we have beautiful forestry here on our campus. Are we chopping down a bunch of trees in order to make this project realistic?
In this instance, no, because every effort was made by the architect to be able to look and see what is the minimal impact on the campus. So in this instance, the actual work for the track and field is, the current track and field is where the new 3-8 building is going to be. The reason being is that it's already level, it's already, all the trees are already removed, so that the impact for the new building actually is at a minimum. All of the trees south of the building and going past Pat Capone Road, they are going to remain. So all the efforts are being put forth to ensure that the footprint of the new buildings will have least amount of impact on the environment as possible.
So let's talk about the traffic going into the new 3-8 building. I know that there is a road that leads from Lee F. Jackson into that space. Are we building a new road?
Well, we will have a temporary road in order to be able to accomplish the heavy equipment that's coming through, as well as some of the larger trucks. So those temporary roads that will not impact the current area that is being used for the roads. Also, the timing, and that's very important to note, the timing of those deliveries will be set to where they are not impacting at all the arrival or the departure of students. So therefore, during midday time, as those trucks are coming through in order to make deliveries or what have you, or to remove items, it is during a time where it's least amount of traffic as possible, so that there is, again, minimal impact on the current school arrangement.
Will the trees serve as a buffer to noise?
On the south side of the 3-8 building, all the trees will remain. So based on the current placement of the building, there's some 700 feet from the corner of construction to the homes that are nearby. That's equivalent to 2 football fields. In general, most of the buildings within the area, they're only 25 feet apart from each other. So therefore, you can imagine now you have 700 feet as far as distance is concerned. While you may hear at times certain things that may take place, overall you will not hear the construction that is taking place because of the buffer and the distance from the building to the residence.
You did say 2 football fields away.
That is
from the
correct, yes.
residential area. Okay. Do we have to build a new road that leads from Lee F. Jackson to the new 3-8 building?
So if you look at the renderings on the district's website for the site plan, you'll notice that we're showing a new connecting road throughout the campus. It actually exists currently. Whether it's paved or it's not paved, the trees are already cleared. There's already a pathway there that connects Lee F. Jackson to the football field, to Woodlands. And what we're doing is actually improving that pathway throughout the campus. We're adding new pavement where pavement doesn't exist. We're improving curbing. We're fixing a lot of the existing pavement, and we're making it really a drivable connecting road to connect the east side of the campus to the west side of the campus.
So part of what we do here at the school district, aside from meeting our students' academic needs, we also meet their social needs, right? And that's also very, very important, educating the whole child. I want to ask you all about the outdoor facilities and the sports facilities, our current sport facilities, our athletic facilities, and our current outdoor spaces for children, and then the plan with this capital plan. Any one of you can take it.
Our playgrounds, we have playgrounds that were put in probably about 30 years ago. Bailey School, they're playing on basically dirt. They don't have really any lawn over there. It's very hard to establish a lawn. Their playground is very outdated. So Highview School, their playground, we had to take them down because it was condemned. So one of them was condemned. The other ones, parts are missing out of it that we had to board up. So those two buildings alone, just a play area, I had to put blacktop down over at Highview School just for the kids to play because that was all mud. Okay, and it's in the back of the building where it doesn't get much sun. It's very hard to grow grass.
One of the things that educators see on a daily basis is the difference when students have that opportunity to get outside, to do some playing, to do some unstructured activities. And with the facilities that we currently have, we just don't have that. So, everything is kind of tightly structured, a quick game over here, maybe a little tag over here, but to actually have the opportunity to get out there, stretch your legs, let some steam off, will in turn help that second half of the day or any subsequent periods of the day with students and their attention span. It's research based. That's why play and developmentally appropriate play is involved in the school setting. We have discrete lunch periods and recess periods, and to have the spaces to actually do it correctly is going to help. But we also are looking to consolidate, and really get this campus to be used as an outdoor education center.
Sure.
So we've looked at the vernal pond down at the bottom of our campus. We're actually taking students out and tapping maple trees that are on the campus. We're fortunate. We have all of these things here, and we want to incorporate some structured areas for students to, spread their wings and let off some steam, and some, really free spaces for them to do the exact same thing on one discrete campus.
I'm glad you said that, because this is the very reason why Frieda Warburg left this campus to this district, so that we can utilize this campus to educate children, the whole child. And she desired for every child in the Greenburgh community to be educated on this campus. So I'm so happy you said we already have the structure for this on our campus. But what's the vision for enhancing the outdoor space, the athletic facilities?
So the capital project embraces this, and we'll be providing a full state-of-the-art high school stadium, full track, full field, shot put area, really what you would expect at a high school level. At the elementary and primary levels, we'll also be providing new playgrounds, age-appropriate playgrounds, lots of open playing fields, running areas, both natural grass and turf fields, and really looking at, looking at utilizing the beauty of the campus and providing both play space that also serves as education space.
It's what kids should have. Yeah. So we're a school district that's focused on the AAA. AAA means the arts, the athletics, as well as the academics. And so in reference to the arts, we are a school district that embraces the performing arts, the visual arts, in our school district, hence the STEAM, and we made sure that we added the A to STEAM for that purpose. And in having this brand new auditorium will allow students to be able to perform. So after students have worked so hard in practicing, they will have an opportunity to put on a Broadway-like production in a brand new performing arts facility, which will be here in our school district. On top of that, having this brand new performing arts facility also could be a moneymaker for the school district, in that when we're not utilizing it, imagine the different organizations, local organizations that can use our facilities. We have so many people who ask us currently, can they use our facilities? Can you just imagine, with brand new facilities, high definition, great sound, great acoustics, seating. We want to give kids something to be proud of in our school district. We want our community to be proud. We want our community to host events using our community space, using our facility, outdoor facilities, using our performing arts facility. This is our school district.
So in addition to the capital project, how we're addressing some of the critical infrastructure needs here at Woodlands High School is through what's called an energy performance contract. It's tax neutral. It's no cost to the taxpayers. And what it is it's a program where the energy conservation measures, the energy savings, pay for the project itself. So what we're going to focus on through the energy performance contract are the heating systems, the ventilation systems, the air conditioning systems, the building envelope, really addressing the critical needs of this building, so we're not ignoring it.
It's important that we educate the community on the bond, on the content of the bond, the content of our capital plan and our project, so that you are an informed voter. We encourage each and every one of you to visit our website to learn more about the bond. We encourage you to continue to ask questions so that you're more comfortable with making an informed decision. Some of you have already used FAQ at greenburghcsd.org, and your questions were answered, as some of you may have heard your questions being answered today. And we will continue to update our FAQs so that your questions are fully answered and you're comfortable with those responses. In addition, you will see that there are upcoming community meetings. Please also check our website and our social media platforms to see updates on campus tours. We did take a campus tour a couple of weeks ago, and it was well received, and we look forward to opening up another Saturday opportunity for our community to not only see our areas of disrepair here at the school district, but to also see where the construction site will take place. We want you to feel it, we want you to see it, we want you to experience it. Thank you once again for tuning in to another edition of Your District and You. Once again, I am your superintendent, Dr. Tahira Dupree Chase. I'd like to thank my expert panelists for joining me today to answer your questions. Again, don't forget, vote date is March 19th, 2019, here at Woodlands Middle High School from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. Please exercise your right to vote.